Welcome if you're new here. Welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Dion. I call this the Crazy Troll Nation of YouTube, and I call this Cake Batter Chapstick. Today we're going to do not so speed reviews because while I'm talking about some of the products, I am going to apply them just so you can see. In case you're new here, you'll see how they apply and how they look on me. So I'm going to just tilt this down a little bit. So this is from a haul video, and I usually do haul videos as a live stream. And so the products that I have on my face right now is just a Fenty primer and a Fenty foundation, soft matte shade 335. That's the only thing on my face right now. And the first two things I'm going to talk about, because it'll be fairly quick, is the Nomad Paradise Islands palette. I purchased it because it was on sale for $24. And I do have something coming up with, I'm going to just leave that there because I mentioned it in the live stream. And so this is what it is. And I actually really like this palette, and I really like all the looks that I did with it. And the first look was these two columns. The second look was these two columns. Third look was these three. And so I do have a playlist for this palette if you would like to check it out and see the looks that I've done with it. And I am going to circle back and do more looks with it. Everything showed up. I'll say that. Everything showed up. The only things that barely showed up were some of these lighter matte shades. But they served a purpose for me for, under my brow bone, or if I want to buff out lower lash line. But as far as color, these shades in this one, they did show up. This one showed up really nicely. And this one was a nice ethereal pop of shimmer shade. Nothing creased on me. Everything lasted as long as I kept my makeup on. Shadow didn't flake off, during the day or during the night. So this was a really nice palette. The only downside I would say, now granted, it matches the cover, it matches the location. This is the darkest shade in here. And so for people who may be darker than me, if they're used to using a skin tone shade for their transition shade, this palette does not have that for them. So that would be the only downside. But again, it does match what it's supposed to match, which is Paradise Islands and the colors that they saw when they were where they were, which is represented on the front of the palette. And so I do really enjoy this. The second palette I'm going to talk about is Sephora Cosmetics, the Grunge Life palette. The sleeve looks just like the palette. I did 3 looks with this so far. I did looks by Rose. First look, second look, third look. I love it. And so I do have a playlist for Sephora Cosmetics if you want to see the looks that I've done with this so far. And I am going to circle back to it because I do see a lot of looks in this palette. I like how all the shadows perform. These two, this one and this one, are the same formula. They're just kind of like the standard metallic. It's very smooth. This one was more bold than I thought it was going to be. I was just like, oh, okay, wait a minute. These two are a different formula. These two are the same as the formula in the shimmer shades and the Forest Heart palette. So these took a little bit more time because even though they're not dry, they're creamy, but they're also flaky at the same time. So it takes, some work to get it on the brush and to get it on the lid, or for me, if I use a sponge tip applicator. And so, but they are workable. It wasn't a hassle. It just takes me more time than these two. But these also are very beautiful shades. And you see that both of these are dual chromes. And so I enjoy this palette. I enjoy the formula. The only downside is the wait time to get it. It took me 13 weeks to get it. But once I got it, it was worth it, dare I say. But I do understand it is a deterrent for some. The next thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you, I purchased, I think it came in a 4-set airless pumps, and I purchased some before, and they came in clear pack. It was like silver, and it's not real silver. This is not real gold. I do enjoy these because if you have, and I used one for the Pat McGrath primer and one for the Pat McGrath foundation, and another one for the Estee Lauder foundation when it wouldn't pump anymore. And so I put them in here, and because it's an airless pump, you will get every use. You will get to use every bit of product that's in there. And so I do really like these. The thing with the Estee Lauder foundation, putting it in one of these, is because it's a thicker formula, I was not able to clear it out. And so that's what led me to buy more in case I need another one for that. And anticipating my Pat McGrath primer not pumping correctly like the last one did, or the Pat McGrath foundation, when it gets near the bottom, it may not want to pump. And so that's what I purchased those for. This is one of the ones from previously, the silver top, not real silver. And what I put in here was my Murad Environmental Shield Essential C Cleanser. And the reason I did that is because it sits this way. So if I'm at the sink or even in the shower washing, I have to turn it this way, do this, turn it, pump it in my hand, and then kind of close it back without it dripping everywhere. And I thought, you know what? I have extra ones of these. And so I put it in here. So that's what's in here. Label hoard me. I put a label on here saying what it is and when the PAO is for this product. And so this comes in handy. You just take the lid off, pump it into your hand, put the lid on, and you're good to go. And this is 1.5 ounce container. This is 5 fluid ounces. And so when this gets used up, I will just add some more of this in here. So these do come in handy for whatever serums, foundations, facial cleansers, moisturizers. These come in handy for that. And I got these from Amazon, and I think I may have a link below for that. Oh, for Nomad Cosmetics, backing up a bit, I do have a non-affiliated code, which is Dion, which will save you 10% on your purchases, unless you need a code to get whatever sale they're having at that time. Now we're going to move to, excuse me, the Milk Face Primer. This is a go-to for me. And this is a newer one I bought during the last Sephora sale because I realized I did not have a backup of the one that I was using with the Estee Lauder foundation. And so it is an airless pump, which I love. And the pump is here, but the pump is this wide. So I have this little bit of product here and this up here. That's all that's left. And so I love this primer. It works for me under the Fenty foundation, the Estee Lauder foundation, the Pat foundation. All three of those are 3 completely different formulas. The Fenty is a soft matte, and it does dry down on its own. I haven't powdered down or anything yet. And like when my cheeks is dry, my forehead is not quite dry, and here is not quite dry because I'm sweating. But the lower half of my face is already dry. So that's the soft matte foundation. The Estee Lauder is full coverage foundation. Some say middle to full. For me, it is full coverage. It is a thicker consistency, but it feels lightweight for me. And the Pat McGrath foundation is very liquidy. It's very sheer. That's the word. And so for all 3 of those foundations being different formulas and different finishes, this primer works for me under that. And it's been said that the e.l.f. Power Grip, I think that's what it's called, is a dupe for this. And some people swear it is a dupe for that. I tried the e.l.f. one. It dried my skin out. So for me, that was not a dupe. And so I'm like, I'm going to just stick with the Milk. And again, I do have the Fenty primer and the Pat McGrath primer because I tend to use the primer that goes with the foundation. But I'm realizing because this works so well with all of those foundations, this may just be my go-to primer unless I just pick one foundation to use, and then I'll just use the primer with that when those run low. And so I do have sensitive skin. If you don't know, if you're new here, this does not irritate my skin at all. And I've been using it for more years than I remember because it works. And when I find something that works, I stick to it. I don't always feel like I need to try the next best thing because most of the times when I do try something else that I think may be better, it ends up for me not being better. And so I'm like, let me just stick with what I know works, with what I have that I love. And so that's why I have what I have here. The next thing I'm going to talk about is, I almost forgot. The Olay Regenerating Cream Cleanser. I was having trouble finding the Garnier Skin Active, yada, yada, yada. And the prices on Amazon was like 3 times what it was like last year. So I'm like, oh no. And I used to use this cleanser way back in the day. And I'm like, I'm going to just go back to the Olay. And I did purchase this. The Olay site sometimes has deals, and also the Ulta sometimes has sales. I would only purchase this from Ulta if Ulta is having like point multiplier or it's on sale, because otherwise the Ulta website, this is almost $2 more than the Olay website. And so I got some from both because they were both having sales, one sale and then the other sale. So I'm like, I'm going to stock up on these. This does not irritate my sensitive skin. It does have micro beads in it, but you do not feel them. Once you put it in your hand and you put some water in it, it feels just like a cream cleanser, which is what it says. And it cleans my face very well. And for times like now with just a base face on, well, it's not even that really. It's just foundation and primer. This will remove all of that, and I will just wash my face twice just to, still have my double cleanse. But this works very well for me. If you have sensitive skin or if your skin is just kind of finicky, I do recommend that you try this. And it says it has no parabens, phthalates, mineral oil, or synthetic dyes. And Olay's Creamy Cleanser hydrates and smooths skin's surface with gentle exfoliators while prepping skin for your other regenerist products or whatever other skincare products you use. And I do find that it is very gentle. It does leave my skin feeling very smooth, very soft, and hydrated. And even though my skin is clean and it does take off my foundation and primer, my skin never feels dry or itchy or like it's going to crack. Like this leaves my skin feeling really, really nice, and it's inexpensive. Olay website is usually around $7.49. Ulta website is usually $9.99, and so that's why I'm saying if you get it from Ulta, wait till there's a sale or point multipliers or something like that. Otherwise, the Olay site, the price is a little bit cheaper, and sometimes they have a $2 coupon if you buy 2 or more. But then you end up buying more than that because you need a certain amount for free shipping, the same as at Ulta, unless you go into the Ulta store. And so we're going to talk about the Fashion Fair Set It Loose powder. The shade I wear is Truly Tawny. We are going to put this on to set the face, even though it doesn't need to be set. I just purchased this. I opened this one in February this year. It's like half done. I'm trying to even it out. Look at this. And so I'm glad I did get the backup. Next Sephora sale, hopefully one comes up soon, or at least a 20% off coupon. I'm going to buy another one. This is the only setting powder I use. The PAO is 24 months. I go through it. I'm halfway through it, and I just opened it in February. Today is May 11th. So March, April, May. So 3 months, and I'm like halfway through it. So this is how I apply it. I was reading comments. I tapped some into the cap, and it was one of those videos, how to have a flawless base if you're over 40. And then I take up, this is a fluffy brush, and I'll tap it in and I'll tap it around to get powder all over the brush. And then I'll tap the brush off away from me because I've learned when you're tapping it, some will puff up, and I was inhaling it accidentally and it was a mess. And then I'll do under my eye. And so one of the tips was use a pressed powder and use one of those little spongy things. Press the sponge into the powder and then press the brush under your eye and to set the rest of your face. And so I commented and said, pressed powders always make my face look cakey. I use a loose powder with a fluffy brush. And I said, I'm only commenting this to say that everything doesn't work for everybody, because a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to try that. I was wondering why, and blah, blah, blah. And everything doesn't work. And I do say here on this channel, just try things and see. And I knew pressed powders do make my face look cakey and dry. And so this is how I do this. And someone commented to me, they said, tap your brush. And I'm thinking, okay, when I was using pressed powders, because that's what I was told from YouTube you need to do, I was tapping off the powder off my brush. But say this is a pressed powder. If you're pressing your brush in it, the powder's in the brush, and you tap off, unlike loose powder, a lot's not going to tap off, and then you're pressing it directly under your eye. And it always had me looking cakey. And so I commented to that person saying, I always do tap off my brush, and pressed powders still always make me look cakey and dry. And so I'm just saying that to say, try what people say you have to do, and then figure out what works best for you. Do I look dry or cakey? No. And I thought after the fact to say, I would love for you to watch my how-to base face video and then tell me what doesn't work. But then I'm like, that's kind of snarky, and that's probably why I didn't think of it in the first place, because I don't like to be snarky, but I just feel some kind of way sometimes when people try to tell you what you have to do, when really it's just finding your own way and what works for you, because this works fine. So the other thing I purchased was another Hourglass Ambient Light. This one is Eternal Light. And we're going to apply this with a fluffy brush because I learned when I demoed this makes me toasty. So what we're going to do it as, and again, fluffy brush, which is best for me also even with Radiant Light. And so we're going to take this back and forth and on the tip of the brush. So we're getting it all over the brush. And yeah, so we're just going to come down on this side. Okay, none, some. Did you see that? And so the other side of the brush, we're going to come here. And we're going to, because there's some on the tip of the brush, we're going to come along here, along our jawline and across our forehead. I do like this. I learned after that first use to go lightly because I was looking toasty. This will work even for me in the summertime. But for times like now, just go very lightly and just, systematically. In videos, before videos, sometimes I'll just put like a little here, a little here, a little here, a little here. And that's all I'll do because this, you see, and yet it looks natural, right? And so that's all we're going to do for this. I do really like their finishing powders. Dim light I use in the summertime because unlike Radiant Light, Dim Light does dim down. All of them do help blur out, if I have on blush, bronzer, highlight. It does just kind of smooth everything together and kind of blurs everything together. So if there are any harsh lines, this will take care of that. And Dim Light does the same thing. Radiant Light adds radiance to my face. And when I was using it, when I first got it during the summer years ago, when, it looked nice in here. And when I went outside and I looked in my rearview mirror, I was like, oh, holy shit, like, it looked like a fairy shit on my face. Like, it was just beaming. And I was kind of like, what the heck? And so I did an IG live saying, or IG reel saying, is this healthy glow or greasy looking, oily? And the responses were, it looked like a healthy glow. But for me, I was just like, ooh, like this is just too much. And so, but I do like Radiant this time of year, very lightly under eye, because it has radiance, it adds, because it has radiance, radiance. It does camouflage some of my under eye discoloration. I don't have it on today, but I wanted you to see what Eternal Light does for me. And if you're deeper than me, this may work for you as an all over finishing powder, where for me, I'm using it more so like as a bronzer. You see what I'm saying? And so it's unfortunate to have to figure out, if you want to use the Hourglass powders, how to figure out how they best work for you. And that's what's annoying about it, because they're not inclusive. Like this says a finishing powder, which means it should finish my whole face. But this for me is a light bronzer. Someone deeper than me, it may be an all over finishing powder. Or if you're very fair, it might be good for you also for bronzing. And so it can be a hassle trying to figure out how to make something work for you. And at the price, you shouldn't have to figure out how it works for you, I don't think. But it does work for me and I really do enjoy it. The other thing I purchased was Haus Labs, another highlighter. I wanted 3 more, and one of them I took out my cart because I'm waiting for a sale. And I've decided I only want 2 more instead of 3 more. I already had Golden Pyrite. That was the first and only one for a long time. And then I got Fire Opal, and I was like, oh. And then I'm looking at the site again, and I purchased Raw Amber. And so this is described as copper. And I know that because I put a label here because I'm a label whore. Hi, my name is Dion. I'm a label whore. So this is what it looks like. We're going to apply this. And we're going to just use, do we want to use we'll use the Fenty brush because I do normally use it for highlighter, but sometimes I do use this brush. This is a fluffy brush. This is fluffier than this one. This one does deposit more color. But we're going to use this one, and I'll just show you what I normally do. I'm just, oof. So this is what it does for me. And all 3 of them, Fire Opal does show up, and it's described as an orange yellow. Like when I like my highlighter to be subtle. Fire Opal, when I look straight, you don't see it. When I turn, depending on how the light hits it, you may see the orange, you may see the yellow, but at the same time, it blends in. Golden Pyrite, because it is golden, and what is that described as? If I can find it really quick. It's described as a bronze gold, and you see my complexion. So it does really blend in, and actually so does Raw Copper. Raw Amber. It's described as copper, Raw Amber. It blends in, but it adds just like a glow. And so that's kind of what Raw Amber does. And so I swipe both sides of the brush and I just do this. And you're thinking, girl, where is it? But look at that. So this is none. So it looks a little flat, like right here. And the light naturally hits our faces a certain way depending on our bone structure. And so that's why I don't highlight different areas of my face, because you can still see like there's some lightness right here and even across my forehead. But over here you see a shine where you see the light, but then you see the shine. And I like how this does that because it's just not, it's not too much. And so it's just like, oh, so look at You see what I'm saying? So you see where where it is. And I like highlighters that it doesn't accentuate texture. It's easy to apply. It fades in, but when you turn, you can see it. Because how you see that glow right there? You see where the light is hitting here, but it's not a glow. This is a glow. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it looks natural. So I'm going 2 times on each side, and we're going to do this side. I should have did one side of my face with the pressed powder and Eternal Light in this. That's what I should have did. I didn't think about it till now. So you can see the difference. And so we're just going to put this here. So you see the shine, you see the glow. This is the kind of highlighters I like, even though depending on what look I'm going for. I do have a gold one from Pat McGrath that I like. I don't wear it often though. But this, yeah. So that is that. There's 3 more things to show you. I hope these are the last 3 things. And 2 of them are the same brand. House Slabs Atomic Shaker Lip Lacquers. This one is Rosewood Shine. I have a video demoing how to use this. A lot of people had issues with them. Some people were like, they didn't like it at all. Some people loved it. Excuse me, I'm one of the ones that love it. And this is described as a rose mauve. And I know that because I have a label. This one is Ruby Shine. It's described as a blue red. I know that because there's a label. Heather, Brooklyn Queen in LA, and influenced me to buy these. I saw her Instagram posts, and she does very thorough commentary. She does very thorough reviews. And so I was intrigued to buy it, and I had heard not so good things about them. And I'm like, but reading her review, I said, I'm going to try it. And I did, and I love it. When I saw this in the store, I'm like, this is hella light, but you know what? This is my perfect nude. And I will, if I remember, I'll put that video down below and or in the iCards for you to see me demo this, and that it is my perfect nude. And I've used this so far 3 times. I absolutely love it. You do have to shake it. You hear it? And I knew how to use it because Lady Gaga did a video showing how to use it. And she's like, you shake it. I forget how many seconds because it's mixing it up. You apply 1 thin layer over your entire lip and just let it sit. I forget how many seconds. You don't need to blot or any of that. Just put a thin, even layer and just let it go. And I don't have to double dip when I do that layer. And so I let it dry, and then I did a second layer, but I've realized I don't need to do a second layer. 1 layer of this is enough. It's opaque, it's saturated. A thin layer is not drying, it's not goopy. This feels comfortable on my lips, and once this is on and dries down, it does not move. I was drinking out of cups, I was drinking out of bottles, I was eating chips, and you know with chips you lick in your lips because you're trying to get that salt off because it tastes so good. I looked in the mirror hours and hours and hours and hours later. It looked perfect. It looked like it did when I applied it. I was just like, what? And when I'm drinking out of cups, I'm looking on the edge of the cup, there was nothing. I was like, oh. And so even though for me, I'm like, okay, this is lighter than I thought, but this is the perfect nude for me. And it doesn't quite look how it looks in the component. And I think it's because of my natural lip color, even though this is opaque. So it does cover, but you know, this is just chapstick, which doesn't have a color. And you see how my lips look. I'm a chapstick hole, y'all. This is why. Look at that. So, but this is my perfect nude. I was apprehensive about trying Ruby Shine because I'm like, my color perception is different than other people's. Because to me, this looks like an orange red. It says it's a blue red. And even with eyeshadow palettes, I don't always describe colors because I really don't know sometimes what color it is. It may look one way to me and somebody else would be like, yeah, that's a good red. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was orange. like seriously. Yeah. And so I was looking at this like, this looks hella bright, but listen, I forget what look I used this for. This is perfect for me. So if they're saying this is a blue red, then what I love is a blue red. This looks so good on me. And then the look I did, people are like, oh my gosh, what lipstick is that? And I'm like, So I do really enjoy this. And I don't wear reds often, but if I want a certain look, this is what I will use. And I have used this over a black liquid lipstick, just tapping it in the center to do an ombre type lip. It does not budge. The other thing I purchased, this is the last thing, was Maleficent from MAC, and it was their Villains packaging or collection or something, and I saw the color. I'm like, oh, dark purple. Everything else I got on sale. I purchased this full price, no coupon code or anything. It was $24 because I'm like, ooh, look at that color. And I don't have a lip gloss this color. This is MAC Lip Glass. And I don't even use glosses that often. This over black lipstick, y'all, and on its own. So I am going to apply this too. This, back in the day, I didn't like lip glasses because to me, they were just always really tacky, really sticky. But they must have changed the formula. But then I'm saying way back, I'm talking about like 15, 20 years ago. But this is not tacky, it's not sticky. And I was just like, oh, I'm not going to wipe off chapstick because this is a lip glass, which is similar to a lip gloss. But look at this. Yeah. I think it actually would be a little more opaque if I didn't have one of chapstick, but it is buildable to a certain extent. So we're going to dip back in. Or not. Yeah, we're going to... I love this, y'all. I love it on its own. And over a lipstick. I like it because it is a color. And again, it's not a lip glass. Excuse me. It's called lip glass. It's not a lip gloss because usually lip glosses just blend in with one of the natural color pigments in my lips. And you saw how my lips were before I put this on. But this is a color. It does show up. It's a little tacky, but not like glue on your lips like they used to feel to me back in the day. And so this is that. This is it. Once you get it on though, as you see, if I keep messing with it, it will go patchy. So I gotta just put it on and just leave it alone. Just put it on and just leave it alone. And that's why a lot of times I don't, blot my lips because it just moves the product around. So then I'm going back trying to reapply where it looks patchy because the product moved. But look at this. I'm going in very lightly, just a little bit. So I'm gonna put some like right up here. This is gorgeous over black lipstick. Oh my gosh. So I am really glad. And I'm saying it's gonna move it. But it looked like a patch over here. Alright, I'm taking up too much time and I apologize. But this is that, y'all. Look at that. I was like, oh, so I am happy. I am excited for everything I purchased, including this lip glass. And it does look like that color. I mean, lighter, yeah, but yeah. So what I might do one day is line and fill in my lips with a black lip pencil and then put this on. That's going to be beautiful. So that is it for this video. Let me know what you think of these products. If you have Nomad Paradise Islands, if you have Selim Cosmetics Grunge Life, if you have the Olay Cleanser, if you're looking for a new cleanser, I do recommend these. I really do. And this is 5 fluid ounces. I do recommend that. Airless pumps from Amazon to put your liquids and serums in. Comes in handy, y'all. I'm not going to talk about this because we just put it on. The atomic shakers. I really want for her to come out with a black one. Because y'all know I like a dark lip. And this was the darkest one. The other ones were more, mauve-y, rosy, this type tone. So I'm just like, Lady Gaga, come on, girl. Hook us up. The Milk Hydrating Primer. It's not what it's called. Well, it kind of is. Milk Hydro Grip Primer. Hydro is because it is hydrating. And it says on the packaging something about it being hydrating. Clean 94% natural hydrating and makeup gripping gel primer. And it tells you other stuff. Sometimes it feels like it's like right here. And it is. Because of how my lips are shaped. So you see my peak comes out over my bottom lip. And so down here ends up here, and sometimes I can feel it. And the Eternal Light Hourglass powder that it bronzes me nicely, and the House Labs Raw Amber. This is a nice combo. Eternal Light and Raw Amber. Like, look at y'all. So that is everything I wanted to show you. I got loud. I'm sorry. I'm excited. So let me know what you think of these products. If you have them, if you've been interested in them, if you would like more information about them, just leave comments below. I do respond back to everybody. And that will be it for this video. Lots of links down below. As always, self-acceptance, self-love. That is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you, and you will see me soon.